Recording in progress.
All right, the time is 1:30 p.m. I call the July 10, 2024 meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Currently, we have 6 members of a 7-member board. If you feel that your petition needs to be heard by the full board, please let our staff members know immediately, and we will table your petition until the next meeting when we have more board members in attendance. We will first ask for the public comment from those sitting in the chambers, then call on the members attending remotely. If a member of the public attending remotely wishes to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting, they should indicate this by using the raise hand function in Zoom and/or by messaging the host. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. Board members, please state your name when making a motion in a second. Lastly, please silence your cell phones. Roll call.
Mr. Tavernier?
Here.
Mr. Byers?
Here.
Mr. Vellman?
Here.
Mr. Devon? Mr. Ritzma?
Here.
Mr. Roush?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
We have 6 members present.
Okay.
Petition number 1, location 52226 Laurel Road. Owner Terry Barnett. Requested action, variance from section 154.070 sub C2A1 to allow total attached accessory building area of 1,600 square feet where a maximum of 1,392 square feet is permitted for a garage addition as tabled. Zoning R single family district, county.
You just want me to do it? Yeah. All right, so this petition is no longer needed because they're, actually, the square footage of their addition is gonna cover everything that they needed. So the only thing that we need to do is make a motion to dismiss and vote on it.
Donnie Ritz, want to make a motion to dismiss petition number 1?
Donnie,
Sid Schaefer, I second it.
Sydney, motion is second for dismissal. Shelley, I'll just do, since everybody's here.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
Petition number 2.
hang on.
Oh.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
10521 Fairview Drive. Owner, Stephen and Jolene Dye. Requested action, variance from section 154.107 sub C2 to allow for a 3-foot side yard west setback where 8 foot is permitted for proposed attached garage and home addition. Zoning R single family district, county, and Adam Devon joined us on the board.
All right, so before we move forward, I gotta dismiss myself from this petition, because I will,
You meant recused.
yeah, I need to recuse myself. Sorry, Tom will take over.
Staff report?
Okay, good afternoon. This is Carl Brungrim, Area Plan Commission staff. The petitioner, located here on Fairview Drive, is looking for a reduced west yard setback to allow for the construction of an attached garage and living space addition. Here's the property as it currently stands. Here you can see the property relative to that property line. The new garage is proposed to be 3 feet from this line, approximately to where the cars are in the picture there. This is the subject property as seen from the west. The petitioners are also proposing a living area addition on the side of the home seen here. This will be 6 feet away from the property line. This is the surrounding neighborhood. In the immediate area, lot sizes are smaller than what is typically seen in the county, and it appears that non-conforming setbacks are somewhat common as well. Here we have the site plan attached, showing that 3 and 6 foot setback, respectively, for the garage and home addition. Looking at our state law criteria, staff finds that approval of the variance will not be injurious to the general public. The proposed garage will essentially align with the existing driveway, with the added benefit of allowing to store the vehicles inside. This may result in an overall lower impact to the neighboring properties. The use and value will similarly remain unchanged. As you have seen, many lots in the immediate area are legal nonconforming with respect to both width and size, and it is in character for structures in this area to be closer to the side property lines than that required 8 feet. And finally, staff finds there to be practical difficulties in this case due to the relatively narrow lot width of 80 feet. Given the setbacks and the existing house placement, as well as the existing house being 50 feet wide, this leaves only 14 feet of buildable area to the west of the house to build a structure that would otherwise be permitted based on its size. And I'd be happy to take any questions if you have them.
Board have any questions for staff? Petitioner present? Is the petitioner present? Petitioner on Zoom?
We just had one sign in. We'll see if it's that person.
Is the petitioner for petition number 2 on Zoom? Okay. Don't think they're here. So you have the option to table it or dismiss it. And in the past, I believe you've usually tabled it to the end of the meeting to see if somebody showed up
And then
as a
decide
first
again,
step.
And then decide again.
Yeah.
Lance Roush, I move that we table this petition till the end of the meeting.
Adam Devine, second.
We have a motion and a second to table the petition till the end of the meeting. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, I think I had it muted.
Pardon?
She was muted.
Oh,
I mean, they already took action to table the petition to the end of the meeting, so you'll have to just stick around until they get back around to you.
just wait till the end then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, are we sure that's the petitioner?
Actually, no, we're not.
She didn't say she's a petitioner. It just says.
You give me.
Okay, so that's table. So we're on petition number 3?
Yep.
All right.
Petition number 3. Location 19075 Cleveland Road. Owner Lim View. Requested action, variance from section 154.107 sub C 2A2 to allow a rear east yard setback of 3 feet where 8 feet is required for a deck over 30 inches above grade. Zoning R Single Family District, County.
Good afternoon, Fariel Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. The petitioner was red tagged by the building department while working on work to the exterior of the home, including a porch. Upon coming to the building department to get permits for the work, it was discovered that the porch was constructed too far into the required east setback. The petitioner's lot is relatively narrow. It also technically has 3 fronts, one facing Cleveland, and then facing Francis and Bar Care Court. Portions of the property facing Francis Street and Cleveland have been taken for right-of-way, further reducing the buildable area near the home. In addition, the septic and well are located to the rear of the home. Because of this, staff finds practical difficulty and recommends approval of the variance. Here is that new porch on the east lot line. The property to the east is currently vacant and mostly wooded. The porch is over 30 inches above grade. The zoning ordinance does specifically state that those decks or porches above 30 inches must meet the minimum side yard setback. This porch encroaches by about 5 feet. Here's that side facing Francis. As you can see, it's quite close to the road. The white pipe you're seeing to the rear, to my understanding, is a clean-out pipe for the sewer or the septic. And this area between the shed and the house is where the septic and well systems are primarily located. Cleveland is a high-trafficked road, and most of the houses along this area are on similarly narrow lots. The site plan shows the porch about 3 feet from the east property line, a 13-foot wide deck. And the next two drawings show the septic location and the dry well. I believe one is the drawing and one is the actual build. Looking at state law criteria, the approval will not be injurious as it is set back from the front lot lines and front facade and not visible to or intruding on the view of any drivers on Francis or Cleveland. The use is unlikely to be affected in an adverse manner, as a 3-foot setback still allows sufficient space for maintenance without trespass onto the property to the east. The east lot line is heavily wooded, and while a single-family home could be constructed there, that east property also has 2 fronts, so a home could theoretically be built away from where the porch is facing. Finally, practical difficulty applies in that there are no other locations in relation to the home where a porch addition could be built. There's virtually no space along the west lot line, and constructing it to the rear would interfere with that clean-out pipe and the septic and well system. So we're recommending approval of the variance and can take any questions.
Right. So he got red tag, but you said he did have a permit or did not have a permit?
My understanding, one moment. He had only pulled a house remodel permit, then he was red tagged for the additional work he was doing, including the porch. And that was in May.
Questions?
Yeah, just clarification, that pipe you see standing there is the clean out, that's on the north side of the house, correct? Not on the other side?
That's to the rear of the home.
Okay.
So,
And are we saying that practical difficulties would be that he couldn't construct a deck over top of that without an access to that?
yeah.
Okay.
So there's the pipe, this is the back of the
Right.
house there.
Right, understood. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? All right, is the petitioner present? Come up to the podium, please, and name and address, and you'll have 10 minutes if you have anything to add.
Hello, my name is Lim Vu. I'm owner of the 19075 Cleveland Road. I tried to get a permit to remodel the outside and all that. The house was real bad shape, and when I remodeled it, and I got children, 5 kids, and my kids like to hanging out outside, and I think that the back of the house was the most privacy of the Cleveland Road and Fancy, and we would like to have a deck that wide enough for our family to sit outside and like a dinner and stuff like that, because the house has such a small space, so we can't fit all with a family of 5. So that's the reason why I built that out a little wider as expected. I didn't know what the code that was, but during the construction, until I got a rag tag, and I'm here today and to ask for a permit, and greatly appreciate for my family to enjoy that property. Thank you.
Okay, you guys got any questions?
Did you do the work yourself or hire a contractor or?
I do the work myself, sir.
You guys got any questions? No? No? All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion?
Mr. Chairman, while the encroachment onto the side yard, technically backyard, depends on which way you want to look at it based off of both Francis Street and Cleveland Street, it makes sense to put it on that side of the house, even though it encroaches so far or so close to it. And there is mitigating circumstances with the septic line running out the back of the house plus that. So I would make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
Adam Devon, second.
Motion and a second. Shelley?
Mr. Byers?
Yes?
Mr. Ritzma?
Yes.
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Velman?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Petition number 4, location 67749 Lake Trail. Owner, Lakeville Conservation Club. Requested action, variance from section 154.419 sub B to not provide asphalt, concrete, or other durable hard surface where it is required for off-street parking for a meeting hall/conservation club use. Zoning R Single Family District, County.
This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff again. So the petitioner here is the Lakeville Conservation Club, who is looking to construct a new clubhouse on their property. The clubhouse is proposed to be just over 3,200 square feet, and per our ordinance would require 13 new parking spaces, per the classification of the club as a public, civic, and recreational facilities use. Additionally, per our ordinance, the new parking spaces are required to be hard surface with asphalt, concrete, pervious pavement, or other materials to provide a dust-free, durable surface which meets or exceeds the minimum specifications prescribed by the county engineer. The Lakeville Conservation Club members have historically been parking on unpaved, non-gravel areas across the site and are now seeking a variance to continue to be allowed to do so. Staff's understanding is that the construction of the new clubhouse will not increase the intensity of the use on the site, and that the old clubhouse will eventually be removed or converted away from a meeting space. Here you can see the existing clubhouse with the area for the new one directly behind it in this picture. This is an accessory building along with a trail that goes back to the lake. Here's the front of the property along Lake Trail. This is the site plan provided for the new clubhouse, again, located behind that existing one. And here is site plan provided showing the proposed parking areas, which again are proposed to not be paved or hard surfaced. Turning to our state law criteria, approval of the variance will not be injurious to the surrounding community. As I mentioned, the club has historically parked on unpaved, non-gravel areas without drawing any complaints. The county engineer has commented that they have no issues with this variance due to not having received any complaints about the issue. And again, because this hasn't really been a problem previously, and they're not proposing to increase the intensity of the use, continuing to utilize these parking areas should not pose a threat to the general welfare of the public. The use and value of the area adjacent should remain unchanged. Many low-intensity non-residential uses in the R single-family and A agricultural districts do not require paved parking. Staff finds this use to be sort of analogous to an agritourism use in its intensity, which does not currently require paved parking. Finally, staff finds there to be practical difficulty in that the hard surface requirement may result in unnecessary impervious surface and additional stormwater runoff, which may undermine the purpose of the Conservation Club. Similar variances were granted in August of 2023 and March of 2020 to not require paved parking for similar recreational type uses. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
When did the ordinance come into play that you had to have?
I can look that up for you. Not sure when that ordinance came into effect.
No such thing, Joe.
the ordinance was effective in 2005. That section was updated in 2019, but I don't know if that specific standard was there prior.
Is the existing building going to be demolished or kept, or? do we know?
Not immediately. The plans show that it will be kept, although, again, in my conversations with the petitioner, it sounded like they were trying to get away from using that further for meeting space.
But if it's zoned single family, does that,
Um,
having two?
So it's not a dwelling unit, so it's not going to have that restriction of more than one dwelling unit.
Any more questions?
Two, I guess. Can you please define agritourism for me?
Yeah, let me look that up for you.
And then secondly, how is this not a accessory building without a main structure being in a residential area?
So the use isn't a single-family residence, the use is more of that club meeting hall conservation.
So that
That's
changes
the
the
primary
definition?
use of the building.
So if I had a residential building or a residential lot and I just put up a pole barn and said it's for agritourism, I could not have to build a main structure?
So agritourism is a little more complicated. You have to have the use be accessory to an agricultural use. But if you were running a conservation club, you could put up a meeting hall on a residentially zoned property because that's a permitted use under the R single-family district. It's in the
Want to start a
chapter,
club?
probably. Or it's in
I-
the-
well,
It'd be a nonprofit.
It's just, I don't know, it's semantics, I guess, but there are ordinances against a just building without a main structure in a residential lot. But again, this goes back to, I think, a previous meeting where definition of what is actually happening, I think it was a church in that time, well, they said it was a church, was just a building. So how do you know it's actually a church? How do you know it's a conservation club? What determination do they have to go through to establish that this is a club? And not have to conform to a standard residential, single-family use?
If the use that they have described that they're doing is a listed primary, allowable primary use in the zoning district, and, they submit their documentation sufficient to get it put on the agenda, it's not necessarily part of the inquiry to say, are you lying to us right now as to what it is that you say that this is? Unless you have like actual specific reasons to believe that they're not being truthful. That's, if there's something in the petition that makes it clear there's something weird going on, it would be sensible to question it. If there isn't, then it isn't really a necessary part of the inquiry. If somebody in the future were to drive by and say, no, somebody is, doing
Living
something in that building that is not
Or running
it's
a
not
business
being
out of it?
used.
I mean, that's my fear, is you could run an agricultural business out of this realistically.
Right, if somebody were to observe that, then they would be able to report it to the zoning, to this group at area plan, and then it would be enforced as it's not being used as the primary use that would be allowed, depending on what the use is they're using it for.
Okay.
And not to beat a dead horse, but just to clarify, there's a host of uses that are permitted uses outright in the single-family district other than single-family homes. Like Carl said, this is meeting hall or office for a conservation club. Do we have a definition, Sean, for conservation clubs? No, we don't, but we have a number of these in the county. ZB Falcons, Wyatt Conservation Club. There's one in Crumstown, so it's akin to that. And then to follow up on the question about when the hard surface requirement went into effect, it was there for the dust-free surface in the June 13th, 2005, so at least since then.
So does staff, as proof of this, just assume that because they've been in place for so long, they're grandfathered in, and if somebody new made this request, we would do different, or due diligence on this, or how does that work?
We thought that the intensity of the use was minimal enough to warrant the variance, and then beyond that, consulted with the county engineer to confirm that the engineering office felt the same way, and that's how we arrived at our recommendation.
So we didn't verify that they truly are a conservation club doing conservation-type work and what they actually do?
No, we didn't, and we wouldn't do that unless we're trying to make a determination of its being like a non-conforming use.
Yeah, and authenticity, right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking. I mean, they're utilizing this as this because they're saying it's this, but we're not
Correct.
verifying that.
You know something we don't?
No, I'm asking questions because, again, this goes back to the church thing we did maybe 2 years ago now. Anybody can say anything.
That is the case. Anybody can say anything, and it's kind of outside of staff's remit to investigate every single application to
So then
make
it's
sure.
our job to make that investigation.
It's the job of the public to come in and say they're not doing what they said they were doing once they're in business.
Seems like a cart before the horse type opportunity then.
I
Anyway,
would say
I mean,
that
it
it's
doesn't matter.
outside the scope of what you guys
Yeah.
have the ability to do, practically speaking.
Okay.
Understood.
Any more questions? No? All right. Is the petitioner present? Yes. Are you gonna be, because I know there was somebody that popped on that said that, so are you doing the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Name and address, and you got 10 minutes.
My name's Mike Chikowski.
Well, wait
When you get
till
up
you
there.
get up there.
My name's Mike Chikowski. I'm a member of the Lakeville Conservation Club.
I need your address.
My address where I live is at 6887 Filbert Road, Bremen. But this petition is for 67749 Lake Trail. And I am a contractor, been a contractor for 47 years. Over the past 12 years, we've been having a building fund to take care of several issues on this property. The number one and most concern that I have for this property is the building that we're in right now has inadequate stairs, and the restrooms are in the basement. When I say inadequate stairs, the run is 8 inches and the rise is 8 inches on the steps. So it makes it very difficult for people to go up and down the steps. So we came up with trying to build a new building. We do not have a problem with tearing down the existing building, but at this time, we do not have the funds to do that. But yes, it is in the plans to have it removed once we have this building up and going.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No,
Okay. You guys got any questions? No questions? All right, thanks, sir.
thank you.
All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. You want to speak in favor of it? All right, up to the podium, name and address, and you got 5 minutes.
I've never been before a board before, so I'm a little intimidated. My name is Dave Braniff. I'm the president of the Conservation Club.
I need your address, please.
My address is 67510 Mulberry Road in Lakeville. Like I say, I'm the president of the Conservation Club, and I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. My understanding is that the board required Conservation Club to have a paved parking lot. There are a couple of reasons that we didn't have that in our plans. First of all, we've always tried to keep the club as primitive as possible since it was built in 1950. The club was actually formed in 1935 as a conservation club with conservation with the wildlife, the plants, trees, fishing, because we're right on the lake, Riddles Lake in Lakeville. We don't have the funds to do an asphalt parking lot. I know that that's not your problem, it's our problem, but we had to get a building built, because we have, like Mike said, problems with accessibility to the restrooms for most of our members. The lion's share of our membership is elderly. And as he said, it took us 12 years to come up with the money we have now, because our dues are only $20 for seniors a year and $30 for 64 and under a year. So it takes time to raise that kind of money. But we did end up getting it put together, and we can put in a building with the money we have that is accessible. There's no steps at all. As Mike mentioned, we have these steps that are put in the existing building were put in by, I don't know what they were thinking back then, but they're hard to navigate for anybody that doesn't walk good. And the restrooms are starting to fail, and anybody comes to a club meeting and has to go to the restroom, they've got to navigate 2 different flights of stairs. So we've got a problem with that. And as far as the conservation club goes, and to prove we're a conservation club, you could check with the DNR. We've worked with them and the Corps of Engineers on different projects for years. We've been getting permits for our lake to stock fish in it for years. We have classes for hunter education classes for the youth. We've been doing that for several years, and we have projects for the Boy Scouts so they can earn their merit badges, become an Eagle Scout. They have that at our club, and for the last few years, we've started having fishing derbies for the children, the young ones, and it's just growing in leaps and bounds every year. So, I mean, as far as us proving we're a conservation club, I'm sure we can do that. And we've got plenty of conservation officers you could ask, and they tell you that. But I'm here today to ask you to please maybe show us some leniency and vote in our favor to let us go without having to put in this asphalt parking lot, because we've gone, as of right now, 74 years. 74 years parking on the grass on the edge of the driveway, and it's worked out fine. We've never had a problem, no existing problems at all. And I'm asking you to vote in our favor. And thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Seeing none. Any on Zoom?
Yes, I would like to speak in favor of it.
All right, name and address, please.
Charlotte Wolf, 21439 Osborne Road, Lakeville. And I think that anybody who wants to have a grass parking lot or some kind of permeable surface shouldn't even really have to get a variance, because that's much more ecologically sound than having a paved surface where that's not needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak in favor of this petition on Zoom? Seeing none. Anybody that would like to speak against this petition, please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion?
Mr. Chairman, assuming that a conservation club would want to have the least amount of impact on the environment around them, asking them to put a asphalt or concrete surface in seems detrimental to what they're trying to accomplish. So I would make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
Donnie Ritzma, second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Byers?
Yes?
Mr. Devon?
Yes.
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Velman?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Petition number 5, location 31031 Underwood Road, owner Benjamin Thomas and Carrie Ann Walbert. Requested actions, variance number 1 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a lot area of 4 acres where a minimum of 20 acres is required for a proposed one-lot subdivision. Variance number 2 from section 154.092 sub C to allow lot frontage of 50 feet where 200 feet is required for a proposed lot less than 20 acres. Zoning A agricultural district, county.
Farial Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. The petitioner is proposing to create a new 4.8 acre buildable lot with 50 feet of frontage from the larger 50 acre parcel for a single-family home. They do not have sufficient frontage to split the lot by right. Staff recommends denial of the variances that would allow this new lot, as it would be inconsistent with the character of the agricultural district. And they could theoretically accomplish this split by allowing the parcel to be annexed into the town of Walkerton and dividing under their ordinances. So it's important to note that this property and the 2 narrower agricultural parcels to the west of it are surrounded by other parcels that are within the jurisdiction of the town of Walkerton. Those are the ones in gray on the map. To the north and south are parcels zoned in residential districts in Walkerton. The one to the north is zoned in Walkerton's Industrial 1 district, and to the east is Marshall County. This is the current farm field. They would like to place a new lot in the area where the farm field exists, which you'll see on the site plan. This is Spruce and Underwood intersection running at the county line. The surrounding area is agricultural with residential uses in the surrounding area located within the town limits. Looking west on Underwood. This is a site plan as provided by the petitioner. They're proposing the access off Underwood with a narrow 50-foot wide opening up to where the home would be constructed. Staff's concern would be that the addition of another buildable lot in this location would take farmland out of production and that the new residential use is inconsistent with the agricultural district generally. The limited frontage would also make it difficult to differentiate between this lot and others and may make it difficult to maintain the driveway without interfering with the operation of the farm field. So looking at state law criteria, for those reasons just stated, it could be injurious to the community's general welfare. The action would take farmland out of production to create another residential lot that is not consistent with the intent of the agricultural district to protect the farming community. The use and value of the area adjacent could be affected adversely. As stated, though there are residential uses nearby, they are located within the town of Walkerton in residential districts on local streets with sufficient frontage facing those roads. So it's not really in character with the agricultural district nor the other homes nearby. Additionally, the limited frontage and placement of the lot proposed on this site plan could make it difficult to farm around. Finally, the strict application would not result in practical difficulties. The agricultural lot standards are established to prevent the encroachment of additional residential uses, and there is no unique circumstance that warrants additional residential use in this location nor in this manner. In addition, staff reached out to the town of Walkerton for feedback on this petition. The town stated they would be open to annexing the parcel, and it would give them the ability to split and build under Walkerton ordinances. I did put the petitioner in contact with the town. Since there is likely another path to subdivide as they desire within the town of Walkerton, there's no practical reason to approve the variances as presented. For these reasons, we recommend denial and can take any questions.
So is that how the petitioner feels?
I did contact the petitioner. So when I first contacted the town of Walkerton, Phil Buckmaster at the town stated the town of Walkerton would welcome the annexation if the owners would like. This would give them the ability to split and build under Walkerton ordinances. I then put him in contact with the town, and it seemed like that was a good path. And they were going to withdraw, but then they decided they wanted to go forward with a variance, so you could, I guess, ask them.
Okay, and they wouldn't be able to do the less than 20 by right, but we throw the 200 feet in there as a requirement if we are going to do less than. And I assume a discussion was had about that, right?
You mean 20 wide?
200 feet of frontage.
Yeah. I mean, I did.
Like somebody comes in and says, hey, we want to do this thing, but we only want
Yeah,
a 50-foot driveway. You-
I did discuss with them possibly putting it in a different orientation.
Right.
Maybe putting it back in the woods.
And that-
You know, even with that, it still would probably be inconsistent with the agricultural district just because it's establishing a new residential use. So yes, they could change the site plan such that they wouldn't need the frontage variance. But it's likely that staff may still recommend denial because it's introducing a new residential use.
Sure, okay.
They would still need the lot area variance either way.
Right.
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Guys got any more questions?
So the actual split is on the site plan, right? Is that,
That's what they're proposing,
so basically the driveway, it's real narrow, so it's going around it.
yeah.
Is the petitioner present?
I'm present on Zoom. Sorry I couldn't be there.
All right, name and address, please, and you got 10
My,
minutes.
my name is Alan Walbert. My address is 11100 East 300 North, Grovertown, Indiana. The property is 31031 Underwood Road, Walkerton. Initially, my dad purchased this property in 1985. I grew up out there, but unfortunately, my dad's health is declining, and we want to keep this property in the family. My dad is 81 years old. My mom is trying to take care of the entire property. Initially, I submitted this with the 50-foot drive, but I didn't realize that would be such a, like a extra variance. I'd be willing to do 200 feet wide all the way. But basically, I understand I have three options: a variance, buy 20 acres from them, or annex the entire property. But I kind of believe annexing the entire property defeats the purpose of trying to keep property in agriculture. We fully plan to farm it, even add livestock. So annexing 50 acres versus allowing 5 acres or less than 5 acres kind of seems counterproductive to me. But I mean, in the end, if that's what we have to do, that's what we'll do. But I spoke to Phil Buckmaster. Seems like it's kind of like a voluntary thing. My parents would be willing to do that, but we, in the end of the day, we're still trying to keep it farmland. Like I said, the 200 feet versus 50, it's something we could work on. We would be willing to do it. This is just kind of step one for me. So that's pretty much about all I have.
Okay, you guys got any questions?
Nope.
Sydney, you got nothing?
Looks like a mess.
You got anything? Anything?
No, it's for staff.
Okay. All right, thanks, sir. All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom?
Yes, I would like to speak.
All right, name and address, please.
Charlotte Wolf, 21439 Osborne Road, Lakeville. And I do respect the individuals who want to subdivide properties. I have a small farm myself, and I think that's great. But the taking up staff time, chipping away appeal by appeal, I think is a waste of the staff and board time. The taxpayers pay for staff to work on these appeals. We need to decide what we will do in our county. And this requires having a working plan, a working comprehensive land use plan, not a plan that is totally dispensable by anyone who wants to build anything from 20 acres to 900 acres. Rezoning at will, in other words, until we finalize the update of the county comprehensive land use plan, I don't think that any minor subdivisions on agriculturally zoned land should be granted. Now, LaPorte County has a 3-acre rule. We happen to have a 20-acre rule and 500 feet of road frontage. That is our agreed upon comprehensive plan dating back to 2002. And I guess the biggest thing that I'm concerned about is that this individual isn't really contributing to sprawl, but this is how sprawl happens in actuality. We have not really addressed the housing issue, the need for additional moderate income housing. As a community, we have not been addressing this. And I realize this is outside the scope of this board and this committee. But if we are concerned about sprawl, we need to make a plan for this and be able to accommodate individuals who wish to have, their own plan. But the zoning came in 2002. They purchased the property in 1985. So, there is a property rights concern there. But as a community and as a county, we have to decide if we're going to have a plan. And if we are going to have a plan, let's get it together and get a plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak against this petition on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion's now closed. Hey, Alan, you got 5 minutes for any kind of a rebuttal if you want it. If you got anything else you'd like to say.
Yeah, I completely agree with her. But at the same time, that's why I just feel like the annex would allow, if since we're this close to town, we're allowed to, they would allow the annex. I mean, that whole front field could potentially be a subdivision, just like across the road is now. So it's just, I guess I'm just saying, you kind of see where I feel like it's kind of counterproductive to annex it, because I mean, I'm fully aware, like, that we need to preserve our farmland, which is what we're trying to shoot for. We plan on farming it. My parents have been doing 1-year leases until we are established out there. But like I said, I fully agree with her. But I mean, at the end of the day, I guess if we had to annex it, we will. But that's why we just want to build out there, and try and make the best out of the land and keep it in the family. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, thanks, sir. You guys got any questions?
That brought up a question for the petitioner. May I?
Yeah.
Sir, when you talked to the guy from the town of Walkerton, were there any ramifications if you were to annex that wouldn't be ideal? I don't know, things like property taxes skyrocketing or having to hook to the city sewer or any of that kind of stuff?
So if we annex it, he told me that the property tax would go up 1%, which at the end of the day is not a huge amount, but we're not getting anything for that. We can't hook up the sewer. We can't hook up to water, which is, I fully planned on, we'd have to put in a septic and a well. My concern was with it still, like, planting the field would be fine, but like, what if we wanted to put cattle in? Are we going to be limited on, that kind of thing? Or he said basically they would have to annex it as agriculture when we did this whole process, which once again, I feel like it's counterproductive. It's already agriculture. So that's what kind of the main drawbacks. I mean, it kind of got brought up to me, like, I think just like last week or the week before the whole annex thing. So I haven't been able to research it a ton. Obviously before we would take that route, I would look into it more, but
Okay.
that's the only drawbacks I know right now.
Okay.
Hold on real quick. Alan, as a follow-up to that, would the town not allow you to continue to keep farming?
They said they would. This is all word of mouth stuff though, but I mean, I would want to see it in writing, but they said you would still be able to farm it. The thing is, right now it's just crops in the field, but if we were to move in there, we'd want to put in like cattle or something like that, which could potentially be in the back field, which wouldn't even be visible from the road. But it's just the fact that we could possibly be limited on that. And like I said, I would have to research it more to see what exactly, but I don't know. I would have to find out more information on that.
So staff would, zoning-wise, would they still be allowed to farm and have livestock?
So we can't speak for the town's ordinances. When I spoke to the town, there was no indication to me that there would be any restriction on their ability to farm. There are farm fields located within the town limits.
Farial, just to clarify, was that expressly brought up in your conversation with the town?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we cannot speak
Yeah,
for the
we
town.
can't speak to that.
Okay, so what am I missing here? Why don't we just put this remaining property in an outlot? Like, am I missing something here?
Yeah.
Because there's a house there.
Says existing.
50 acres, and it's
There
down to
Existing-
4 acres.
There
Oh, it
is a
does say
home
existing house right
kind of
there.
up by where the woods are.
Right, I mean,
I-
so I want to make sure I understand,
I missed
I'm on the
that
same page.
completely.
So they want to carve 4 acres out of 50, right? So starting with 50, so it is permissible that it could be 2 buildable lots any way you look at it right now, correct?
That's not correct, because
Oh,
with
the
a lot
frontage.
20 acres in area, you would need 600 feet of frontage. So we're always
It's too
looking,
narrow.
we're always looking at how many are allowed by right
Right.
Okay,
and how many are we
I gotcha.
increasing.
that's why I want to make sure I was clear.
Yep.
Understood.
I just look at with that narrow driveway, you know, I know it's family, but one day maybe they still off the other parcel, and it's just, it could be an access, even though that's their legal right, I could see them maybe causing a future issue with the way that driveway
Okay,
is
so I
designed.
got a question then. Could they not just could they not just run a property line straight across from where his proposed property is? Make that existing structure and house one lot, his lot, a second lot, and then make the rest an outlot?
Don't even have to make
It
an
would
outlot.
still be, oh, you're saying, would it still be 20 acres?
You can landlock it. Gotta have road frontage.
And then have the
Could do
access
is
off
take the
Spruce?
existing-
Yeah.
You could take the existing buildings and put a narrow driveway and then make it a minor sub, and then you'd have enough road frontage and enough acreage.
There is no way that this could be subdivided to provide 2 lots by right.
That's why I
There would
wanted
have to be a variance of some
Correct.
sort.
Yeah.
Road
Yeah.
frontage or
Frontage
whatever.
or
either
area
a frontage
Yeah.
or a, yeah.
One or the other,
Spruce doesn't
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
would, just getting it out there, would staff be amicable if we amended, if the petitioner was amicable to 200 or 250 feet?
Well, he already said he would go to that.
Well, I
if he-
thought we
if he
should
needed.
clarify with him, but
Yeah, he said he didn't know it was one of those things. I put it on here. I made notes when
Right.
he was talking.
I thought I heard that as well.
So staff's recommendation is based on going back to how many lots are allowed by right? How many lots are we ending up with? 1 by right, this proposal creates 2 lots. Is it a better configuration to have the minimum frontage required? Yes, but that doesn't change our recommendation for denial.
Got it.
But thank you for asking.
But your recommendation for denial was him changing the use from farming, or potentially changing the farming, but he's already said that he's continuing to keep the other portion tillable.
Well, he would be putting it within the farmland, and that is establishing a new residential use within the agricultural district, which is generally contrary to the intent of the agricultural district. Is adding any more residential uses is generally not in line with that intent.
That's the party line.
Often when you see splits come here and we say it's okay, usually, oftentimes those are existing homes. You know, homesteads that have been there and they want to split them off. This is a new home that they want to put in.
So Brandy brought up a distinction that I think is helpful. When we see these, we are often looking at a piece of property where they're going to cut off the existing house and put it in an outlot. That's not what's being proposed today.
That's what Farial just said.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
It's fine,
Brandy,
it's
sorry.
okay. You said it a little more eloquently. It's okay.
I apologize.
Right, it's sort of backwards.
But the catch is.
But he's still keeping it agricultural.
Yeah, I mean,
Lot is an outlot.
I mean,
The agricultural district requires 20 acres minimum and 600 feet of frontage. You have 50 acres and 889 feet of frontage approximately. That equals one buildable lot per the agricultural district. This variance would create an additional buildable lot beyond what is allowed in the agricultural district.
Because even if they split the lot and sold 20 acres to the son, it still has to have a variance because it wouldn't have the required frontage.
Yes.
Understood, okay. That helps clarify things.
if it would be helpful to you all, we could consult further with the town to see if what he's alluding to.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't-
that's fine.
Question, there is no requirement for access, is there? Like here, they got 50 feet. The requirement's only like 16 feet, maybe, 16 and a half.
For what?
For, if they would make a minor sub out of the existing houses.
I sent it to Sky. and he said he's
Oh,
fine
to
with
get
it.
down, to get the 600 feet for the rest.
Well, it wouldn't matter, just,
Yeah.
You look at, they need a variance.
you gotta have access to all property.
Right.
Is there a minimum?
It would just be the minimum lot width. That's in the zoning ordinance.
Maybe what now?
The minimum lot width.
Which would be 220 and 600.
The
Or
200 and
600.
600, yeah.
Well, there's 889, so there is room if he did it that way, right?
But not with the 20 acres.
There is room for 200 and then 600.
Lance, you're asking about lots less than 20 acres having that 200-foot minimum requirement. Yes, a variance is still required for lot area, but then not for lot.
I'm just,
Front.
through discussion,
Yep.
maybe trying to help him.
I understand what
Yeah.
you're asking.
Okay, so it's gotta have 200
For
without
less
coming
than,
in here.
yep.
Correct. Yeah. Kind of see there's a lot of them without 200.
Legal non-conforming.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
I
Thank
understand.
you, Lance.
My favorite term.
all right, you guys got anything else? Tom, Adam, you haven't really talked much today.
Sometimes I am quiet. I'm sympathetic to what the petitioner is trying to accomplish, and I don't have a problem with that. But given the number of options that we've thrown out here, I think we're potentially getting into a situation where we're getting bogged down in trying to design a solution for this property. Perhaps the petitioner needs to go back and take another look at possibly splitting off the existing parcel, going that route, or I mean the existing house as a, whatever the terminology is, the one we said we get other examples from, or look to see how can you accomplish that 200 feet of frontage. I don't know if we've got that today, but I'm certainly open to someone that could convince me.
Anybody else?
Merely tabling wouldn't allow the petitioner to come back with a revised site plan, would it? Because you're still dealing with the same legal request.
That could actually be different.
If you need more information about the petition that's in front of you, you can table it for that. The petitioner has the ability to amend their petition to ask for less. If they want a more variance than what they're asking for, it would need re-advertised entirely. I'm not entirely sure what scenario you're trying to get to, where they completely reconfigure their petition would probably be best dealt with them withdrawing the current one and submitting a new one to fit a new site plan. I'm not sure what you're trying to get to.
Well, I was just trying to listen to the various options that were thrown out here, and there seem to be several of them that it might be a potential solution. If a petition is denied, how long does a individual have to wait before they can resubmit a petition?
6 months.
6 months?
For any
And it's
petition
for
on the parcel?
that property, I believe.
But isn't it just for like petitions?
involving the same property. So yes, it would be 6 months for them to come back with either the same request or a newly configured one for this property. Because we were trying to prevent a scenario where people would move the lot lines like 3 feet and come back the next month, because we were having a bit of a problem with that for a short period of time.
So if they were to drop the frontage variance and submit a new site plan showing 200 feet of frontage, you think that would warrant a withdrawal and a new application?
Or I guess, similar question, if we motion to table it within that time frame, could they withdraw it and then resubmit a different?
Yes, they could do that.
Aha.
As far as just changing the petition that much itself, I'm not sure that, I think that that would be the way to do it. I think the withdrawal would be cleaner.
But if we deny it, then they're stuck for 6 months.
Yes, if you deny it, they have to wait 6 months before they can come back.
All right. And then you guys will be in contact we just need to verify, or we just need to make known what it is that we're asking for if we table it.
Yes.
So that we have grounds for.
You would
tabling.
say you need further information about X, Y, or Z for tabling.
So with that, in the hopes that the petitioner has heard all this discussion clearly, Mr. Chairman, Lance Roush, I move that we table this petition on the grounds that I think more work needs to be put into it and we need more information to make a decision.
To the site plan.
To the site plan.
Tom
Yeah.
Byers,
Go ahead.
Tom Byers, second.
We have a first and a second to table. Mr. Devon?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Vellman?
Yes.
Mr. Byers?
Yes.
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes. Alan, your petition has been tabled, and I'm assuming staff will reach out to you.
Okay, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Petition number 6, location 13035 Day Road. Owner, David M. and Nina R. Mark. Requested action, variance from section 154.070 sub C to A1 to allow an accessory building with a height of 28 feet where a maximum height of 24 feet is permitted. Zoning R Single Family District, County.
This is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. So the petitioner would like to build an accessory building with a height of 28 feet rather than the 24 feet, which would be permitted in the R Single Family District for a property of this size. That's the property there. It's highlighted. Staff is recommending denial of the variance on the grounds that it's really not apparent from the information available prior to this public hearing that there is any sort of practical difficulty which would prevent the property owner from complying with the maximum 24-foot height. It would seem that that 24-foot height would accommodate an RV or larger vehicles that the petitioner may want to store within the structure. There's actually, the house is under construction currently. It's pretty far back on this property, which fronts on Day Road. That's the new entrance drive. And then here is the home under construction. That's looking east on Day Road, looking directly across the street. And east on Day Road. Per the site plan, even though the house is set back pretty tremendously, the proposed accessory structure will be set back even further from the road north of the new house. Turning to the state law criteria, we find that the approval would not likely be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare because that that structure that is being proposed to be 4 feet taller is set back over 650 feet from the public right-of-way, such that it should not really have any impact on the general public. We find that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property would not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Once again, the subject accessory structure would be set back at least 50 feet from the closest property line. And as you can see from the aerial, the portions of the property which it's abuts are devoted to agricultural uses. So having this taller accessory structure really wouldn't have any adverse impact on the use and value of those farmed properties. Finally, turning to the third criteria, staff does not believe that restricting the accessory structure to the 24 feet in height permitted would result in practical difficulties in the use of the property, as it would appear that at 24 feet, this would allow clearance for the proposed RV storage and other large vehicles. Beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody got any questions? No? All right, so petitioner present. Name and address, and you got 10 minutes.
Hello, my name's Dave Mark, and I currently live at 29596 Crystal Lake Court, Elkhart. I'm a custom home building, and I'm a builder, and I'm moving to the 13035 Day Road. I currently have a outbuilding where I live now, and we have 16-foot side walls. And with my Class A RV, which is 13'6", it just makes it really tough by the time you put radiant heat in there, ceiling fans and all that for the height restriction. I need the 60 by 80 outbuilding to store construction equipment, materials, and of course the RV. If I went lower than the 18 feet, it would almost be non-conducive to do it, considering the door is 14 foot tall to get it in there. And so that leaves you 4 foot, a little bit less than 4 foot to the ceiling. And it makes it really tough to have radiant heat in there because I'm going to heat the building. Like the gentleman said, we are far back from the road, 650 feet or so. Pretty much can't see it from Day Road. I have a 412 roof pitch on it currently, which sets it up about the peak about 10 foot. I can't really bring it down any because it's going to, then I'd have to lower my pitch or change the size of my building. My building is within requirements, meets the requirements with the house structure and garage, so I'm not too big on that. I guess the biggest thing is it's going to make it really tough for the height of the RV. I really do need the 60-foot depth for the building, due to that I'm getting close to retirement. I'm probably going to go to a 45-footer at some point, and I have a fixed motorcycle lift on the back of that, so I really need the 60-foot depth. So that, with that intact, it makes it very tough to go any shallower than 60 feet by the time you add up the exterior walls and have some leeway inside and front to back of the RV. I plan on living here for the rest of my days, so I really want to try to have a place that's going to be conducive for me to encompass this RV and my construction equipment and a wood shop for me to continue to have storage for my the business. So I appreciate it if you guys want to approve it.
Is that what this 38 by 20 spot is a wood shop?
Yeah, yeah,
And will that have the same wall height as
Yes, it's all gonna have the same wall height, and then I'd have like a mezzanine above that where I can have storage and stuff.
Okay, you guys got anything?
I want a clarification, so I assume the way the construction will be on this building is the bottom of the truss height will be at that 18-foot, correct? It's gonna be flat
Yes,
across, so
yeah.
there's no peak or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
it's 18 foot.
So you basically would have 4 foot of clearance between the top of your RV, basically, or 4.5 to
It's
where the bottom
actually
of the truss.
3.5 by time you got your floor, because I'm gonna pour 5 inches of floor.
Okay.
And by the time you put a radiant heat and some ceiling fans to move the air,
Yeah, clarification, is it gonna be above radiant, like tube heaters, or is it gonna be in-floor radiant?
no, they're gonna be radiant tube heaters. That's what I have now, and it seems to be the most efficient.
Mr. Mark, you mentioned that you're gonna be storing construction equipment there. Do you have employees to come to get that
No,
equipment?
no,
or-
I just have, I have one employee, and then I have like a skid steer and trailers.
Okay.
Yeah. We're a really small business.
Good? Okay, thanks, sir.
Yep.
All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Public portion is now closed.
I just make a couple comments. I mean, seeing how far back this building's gonna be, and looking at those photos, I know exactly where this is at. So, I mean, you're not gonna see it with that tree line. It looks pretty dense in the front there. You're not even gonna see it. I don't see that those couple feet extra is really, especially being that far being behind the house, let alone the tree line. I don't see you're gonna notice it. I don't have an issue with that height, as long as it meets the other requirements, so I don't have an issue with the height requirement.
I'd just like to clarify, contractors or construction office shops without outside storage is a use within the zoning district, and it's only permitted in the commercial district. So admittedly, there's a question of, are there employees coming on site and what activities are occurring? We can't say for certain whether it is that use. However, it is called out in the zoning ordinance and only permitted beginning in the C district.
How many acres is this parcel? Who answered?
I think he did.
Petitioner.
Okay.
It's also, it is an interesting conundrum because petitioner stated they're using radiant tube heats above, which does have a height requirement if you don't want to lambaste the paint off of anything you store underneath it. So that 3.5 foot is very tight. It was usually need at least 5 to 6 feet underneath the tube heater to be able to get heated properly and then also meet the safety requirements. So that height variance, or the height requirements, well, I'm not saying it's arbitrary, it was decided someplace along the line realistically by somebody's standard. In reality, that's not conducive to if anyone is trying to build some type of accessory barn like this and want to heat it in a way that's similar to this, it would be very restrictive on that opportunity. So, with that being said, this is Joe Velleman. I would make a motion to approve the variance as requested, as per staff recommendation, or subject to staff notes, right?
Staff's recommendation was denial.
No, but you also had other notes, didn't you?
If you're trying to add the conditions that the
conditions.
staff,
No conditions?
Yeah.
Okay.
it would be subject to the conditions recommended in the staff report.
Then never mind.
So what's your motion?
He
I'm sorry?
approved, motion to approve.
Make the motion to approve.
Adam Devon, second.
That's my thought. Question.
We have a first and a second to approve. Mr. Byers?
Yes?
Mr. Ritzma?
Yes.
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Bellman?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance and will issue written findings of effects. Thank you.
Petition number 7, location 27150 Stanton Road. Owner Stephen T. and Heather L. Kerhove. Requested actions, variance number 1 from section 154.092 sub D to allow a front yard setback of 17 feet where 35 feet is required for an existing dwelling unit in a proposed one-lot minor subdivision. Variance number 2 from section 154.092 sub A to allow a minimum lot area of 2.2 acres where 20 is required for a lot in a proposed one-lot minor subdivision. Zoning A Agricultural District, County.
This is Carl Brown Grimm, Area Plan Commission staff. So here we have an ag split, kind of like we talked about earlier. However, this might be slightly different than the ones that you may be used to by now. Like most other splits, they're looking to parcel off the house and related accessory buildings, approximately 2.2 acres in total, from the rest of the 43-acre tillable field, as well as legalize the existing front yard setback on the building. However, in this case, the remaining parcel, now to be known as Outlot A, will still have over 40 acres in area and over 1,200 feet in frontage. This means that if the variance is approved as requested, this parcel could end up being 3 buildable lots, where 2 is currently allowed by right. Evidence of this being an issue further comes from the minutes of the 2002 variance request to create the parcel that is bordering immediately to the southeast. This parcel is originally part of today's subject parcel, and when it was approved, the BZA made sure in the minutes that if the remainder of the field was to be divided again into additional buildable lots, they would need to come back to approval to make sure that no more than the original 3 buildable lots would be allowed without further BZA approval. Now, with that being said, staff does recommend approval of the requested variances on a condition that a written commitment is filed agreeing that Outlot A cannot be further subdivided in the future. This is the current farmhouse on site to be split off. You can see some of the existing accessory buildings and the field surrounding the property there. Here's the site plan showing the proposed new lot along with that remainder outlot. And then another site plan with the closer view of the proposed lot along with all existing structures. Turning to our state law criteria, provided that a written commitment agreeing to not further subdivide Outlot A is agreed to, approval will not create any additional buildable lots other than what would have otherwise been permitted and will not threaten the general welfare of the A Agricultural District. Approval of the setback will not be injurious as that farmhouse has existed on the front property at the same distance prior to 1938 per our historic aerials. The use and value of the surrounding area will similarly be protected by the written commitment, as this will help to keep the entire farm field fully intact and preserved into the future. The farmhouse abuts a tilled field to the north, and approval of the setback variance is unlikely to have any impact on that property. Finally, staff does find practical difficulties in that the strict application of the terms of this ordinance would force the petitioner to remove farmland from that larger field in order to meet the required lot minimum. Approval of the variance with a written commitment condition would allow for the productive farmland to remain intact while also limiting potential additional buildable lots in the future. Strict application regarding the front setback would require the moving or demolition of a dwelling unit that has existed prior to 1938. So staff does recommend approval, subject to the conditions found in the staff report, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
You guys got any questions? Going once,
Why don't we say outlot here?
going twice. What?
Why don't we say outlot here?
So and maybe this will be something that Mr. Langeville tells So in 2002, they requested a variance to get to 12 acres, but that is already off of this existing petition. That 12 acres is gone. Now they're
Right.
asking because they left over that 40.
Now
Five.
that variance was granted for that, not for this
No, that's what I'm
parcel,
saying.
for that
But
southeast.
that created this then lot.
Yep, that created this lot here.
And at that time, that board said they wanted no more than 3,
Yeah, so at that time, there was over 60 acres, I
they wanted to
believe.
get no more than 3 lots. So
Right.
so this would be the one they got in 2002, the one they want to create lot 1, and the third one would be out lot A.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And if, again, as requested today, Outlot A is left with enough frontage and acreage that you could get 2 out of that in the future. I understand that's not the intent of the petition,
Understood.
you know.
And then a clarification, I guess, because, and maybe I don't understand the semantics of this, isn't it designated an outlot, it can't be subdivided at all, can it?
Because it has, again, the frontage, so the outlot designation could still be divided.
But they still have to come back for
We gotta
somebody
come back here.
to do that.
No, because they have the area and frontage.
An outlot, if it's platted as an outlot, it would have to go through a minor subdivision to be replatted as a buildable lot.
But the minor subdivision could be approved without BZA.
Because
Okay,
there's.
that's the
yeah.
clarification
Yes.
I needed. So
Yeah.
that could be applied for without having to go before somebody for approval. then.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That's where I was confused.
I thought outlot
Right,
always
but it
meant
would be-
Outlaw meant it was it.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought an outlot always had to come back to us. That's the reason why we.
That's why we've started to recommend written commitments. If it's just an outlot and it has 590 feet, or 590 acres and 596 feet of frontage, it's not getting a building permit because it doesn't meet the requirements. But this outlot is so large, or this outlot as proposed is so large that it could be further split.
Gotcha. See, I wasn't the only one confused.
Okay, you guys got any questions? No? Terry?
Terry Lang, Whiteman office, address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue here in South Bend. I represent the petitioners. Petitioners are farmers. They bought this property to get the farm ground and cut off the house. They have a potential buyer for the home at this point, and we've put together a 2-acre parcel around the house, which encompasses most of the farmyard area. It's a little bit larger on the westerly side of the parcel. There's a mound septic system there, and we provided some additional space to the west of that for a replacement system as usually a requirement of the health department. So the configuration that you see will accomplish exactly what the owner is looking to do here. I was under the impression also, Lance, just the way you said, that an outlot was an unbuildable piece. Kind of seems like a double overkill on written commitments, but if it's a requirement, we'll provide it. They're looking to farm, and that's why we created it as an outlot. So be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You guys got anything? No? It's a standard Terry split. All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. See none. Oh. Name and address, please, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Michelle Lyle, 69520 Redwood Road, Walkerton. I came here to speak against it, and I'm still somewhat opposed to it simply because, like you said, it could still be subdivided into 2 lots without the written commitment, and that goes against our agricultural area. However, this is not how this was explained to me when I asked about it before I came up here, so I'm a little confused. But I am concerned about the future subdivision, so that's why I'm still opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Linda Jordan, and I live at 69127 Redwood Road. And I'm here to tell you that I had no idea this was going on until last night. I got no notification, and I'm directly north of this property. So I am not here to be able to intelligently discuss what's going on here, but I don't understand why we have to subdivide farmland. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. I'm sorry, I wish I had more information on it, but I was not notified. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak against this petition? See none. Any on Zoom?
Yeah, Greg Montgomery, 69811 Redwood Road.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm opposed to the subdivision of it simply because of the possibility of more houses being built on the property.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, thanks, sir. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to speak against this petition?
I'd like to speak again briefly.
All right, name and address,
Charlotte-
please.
Charlotte Wolf, 21439 Osborne Road, Lakeville. And again, this is a situation where if we had a working plan, we would know what to do. We would not have to waste staff and board time. And I realize this may be, again, beyond the scope of this board. But we need to decide what we're going to do in our county in terms of preservation of agricultural land. If we had a working plan, not a plan that's totally dispensable by anyone who wants to build anything anywhere in the future, potentially, maybe not right now, they're going to farm it, but who knows what's going to happen in the future. There's no guidance. There's nothing really that is required to be followed. This 2002 plan seems to be dispensable from 9 acres to 900 acres. And I don't think that this board should be charged with rezoning decisions. I think that the county as a whole should be deciding. I mean, we may decide that we don't really care for this 20-acre thing, that we might want to have certain areas of the county where, certain land, soil types, whatever, that are more conducive for housing, and we need housing in the county. But to spread all of the houses out on 20 acres all around the county, and I know that this is beyond the scope, it just doesn't seem like the best way to preserve agricultural land. And until we finalize the update of the county comprehensive land use plan, we should be really careful about giving exceptions and carving off minor subdivisions in different pieces. I know this is not a minor subdivision, but just carving off different pieces and calling it no longer agriculturally zoned. So that's my only concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to speak against this petition? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. Terry, you got 5 minutes.
I won't need 5 minutes. I think they misunderstand. There's an existing home here. We're cutting off a lot around that home so that the farmer can sell that home off and he can take the balance of the property and farm it. And we're agreeable to an outlot and the commitments as the staff has recommended. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you guys got any more questions, or I'll take a
So,
motion?
so the homeowners, or the property owners keeping the property to farm. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
So it really has no effect right now.
I just need my memory refreshed, because it's been a while since we talked about written commitments. Written commitments follow the property itself, not a homeowner. So if it's on that property, a written commitment, it's for now and forever.
That is correct. If it's a condition, it only affects the specific petitioner. If it's a written commitment, it runs with the land and subsequent owners are bound by it.
So if we were to go down that path where we carve out the acreage that Mr. Lang's asked for, and the written commitment is done by the new owner of that property that's carved out of that 50-some-odd acres, whatever it is, that could never be subdivided again unless they come back to this board and ask for it.
Outlot A would be subject to a written commitment saying you cannot subdivide it further. And then if they wanted to, they would have to come back here to request that be terminated.
Understood, thank you for clarification.
Talk slow when you do this then.
I'm not doing anything. This is Sid's area of
Practically good.
expertise, so.
All right, you guys got anything else? I'm telling you, next time I'm playing the Jeopardy song.
All right, so after weighing this out, I understand where everyone's coming at on this expectation, and the remonstrator, I apologize, I don't remember her name. The comprehensive plan definitely helps us with this, but we are presented with this opportunity right now. We don't have that to worry about, or we can't worry about that, unfortunately, at this point. So it's best to allow the use of this property. It would be my determination that carving out this 2.2 acres and requiring the written commitment from the new owner of the Outlot A achieves what we're trying to in this case still, realistically. So I would make a motion to approve the variance as requested for petition number 7, subject to the written commitments that Outlot A has created would never be subdivided without additional oversight by the Area Board of Zoning Appeal. Is that good?
I would simplify it to just say, subject to the written commitment that Outlot A not be further subdivided.
Subject to the written commitment, whatever Brittany said.
You could just say conditions requested by
Sure.
staff, because I have that in there.
I'm trying not to make it complicated.
Lance Roush, second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Byers?
Yes?
Mr. Devon?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
No.
Mr. Velman?
Yes.
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes. Based on the testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance subject to the written commitments and staff's conditions, and will issue written findings of the facts. Is that right? Staff's
works.
commitments, yeah.
What he said.
Petition number 8, location 31100 Edison Road, owner Razor 5 LLC, requested action, variance from section 154.438 sub B to allow off-street loading spaces to be located between the front lot line and front facade of a building for a campus logistic building located at the entrance of a data center. Zoning I, Industrial District, County.
This is Sean Klein, Area Plan Commission staff. The proposal is to allow for a loading area to be located between front lot lines and the front facades of a campus logistics building for a new data center. The specific parcel involved in the variance is the one highlighted on the screen at the corner of Elderberry and Edison. But this is actually part of a much broader project development site, which I'll show you in a moment. Staff does recommend approval of the variance. There is practical difficulty in locating a loading area that's not in front of a front building facade, given that this project area effectively has 6 front property lines. It's unusually shaped. Additionally, having the loading area located in front of the building shouldn't have any significant adverse effect on the public or on surrounding properties, given that it's going to be well set back from the public rights-of-way and well screened by required landscaping, which is being provided. And this is the site currently. And then the view looking down Elderberry Road, just looking east on Edison, west on Edison. And then here's the site plan showing the actual location of the loading area to the west of that campus logistics building, which it's serving. This also has the added benefit of allowing incoming deliveries to be outside of the fenced-off secure area where which is internal to the site where we expect pedestrian traffic. So it's going to prevent conflicts between trucks and the employees of the site. And then, as you can see here, this is the broader project site. So you have that frontage along Edison and Elderberry, and then additional frontage along the south, and then, some partially along the south, and then along the east and west as well. Turning to the state law criteria, staff finds that the approval would not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. The loading area will be set back 120 feet from Elderberry Road and 320 feet from Edison Road, and it will be well screened by both front yard landscaping and some redistributed foundation landscaping, such that the visual impact on the public will be extremely limited. Furthermore, the variance would enhance safety at the site by allowing for the truck traffic to be well separated from internal pedestrian distribution traffic. Turning to the second criteria, we find that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property would not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, because once again, we have these large setbacks from the public rights-of-way, and actually, the site, there's no abutting portion to the site of any other uses or properties. So it's really going to be, if there was any impact, it would be on properties that are to the west of Elderberry and to the north of Edison, and those properties are occupied by industrial uses. So it's kind of difficult to say that that industrial use and value would be substantially impacted by a loading area. And again, it will be heavily screened from those uses in the area. Finally, turning to the third criteria, staff does find that strict applications of the terms of this chapter would result in practical difficulties, given that this property does effectively have 6 front lot lines and 6 front yards. So it would be extremely difficult to find an area on the property which is a reasonable location for access to the street and is behind all relevant front building facades. Additionally, if the loading dock were to be located to the rear of all buildings, or at least not in front of the front facades, that would hamper the ability of the developer to prevent truck traffic from accessing the interior of the site. And by doing so, they enhance safety and security. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Can you show me where these loading docks are gonna be? Because I don't have a picture yet.
Yeah, on this site plan?
Yeah. I mean, I have this yellow highlighted building, but.
Yeah, so we're up here. This is Edison, this is Elderberry, this is the loading dock.
Oh, so all these little lines here, go to this one.
Yeah.
So those are all loading docks?
Correct, those are truck loading lanes.
Look like drive-through to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I didn't know what we were looking at.
It's a very large site.
Yeah.
Sean, we didn't have that other in our packet.
You didn't have the full site in your packet?
Didn't have that, no.
Okay. I don't think it was with the submittal, I just added it for context.
So basically, they want the trucks to enter off there because that's outside the secured area of the data center. It's away from pedestrian traffic, but since it's abutting Elderberry Road, that's the issue.
Correct, yes.
And what is this zone again? Why do we care in industrial?
Edison and Elderberry.
Could you say that again, Joe?
Why do we care in industrial which way the loading docks are?
It's in our existing zoning ordinance, and just to clarify, this is not an IUC overlay standard, this is in the existing zoning
Right.
ordinance.
If it was residential, it'd be a different story, or even commercial, but industrial.
Yeah,
Why they put trees in the middle of the road?
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
It's no problem.
Thank you.
All right, you guys got any questions?
Not now.
Not now. All right. We'll open it up, or no, I'm sorry. Is the petitioner present?
the petitioners. Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Stephen Studer. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Krieg DeVault, with office at 4101 Edison Lakes Parkway, 46544. I'm here this afternoon on behalf of Razor 5 LLC, which is an entity owned by the Amazon Web Services, which is building the data center. And as Sean and the staff have pointed out, we also agree that in an industrial area, this probably shouldn't be the requirement of a variance, but it is. In fact, I understand that just 6 months ago, I think GM had to come to you for a very similar variance for the same reason. So essentially, as Sean has pointed out, we're looking at changing the orientation of the campus logistic building. There's 3 large buildings here, 2 really large buildings: campus administration building, the logistics building, which where inload and outload for materials is taking place. And then we have the access control building, which is on your left, which is our security building. So we're trying to prevent anybody coming into the security area, but more importantly, our primary concern is safety. If we do not orient the building this way so that our loading areas between the front Edison Road and the facade of the building, then we risk the idea of having conflict with pedestrians and other automobile traffic, and our primary concern is to prevent that. So we are almost over a football field away from Edison Road when we do this. It'll be well screened, so it's not going to impact the health, safety, or general welfare of the community. Secondly, there are no other properties that are not industrial nearby the property, and as staff pointed out, this will not impact or affect negatively the substantially adverse manner in terms of the property values of neighboring properties. And then the practical difficulties, as Sean has pointed out, is the fact that, to turn this any other way, even though it's a large site, would unfortunately present us with potential safety concern, and we're trying to avoid that. So nobody is impacted by this. This is simply an internal configuration that we're trying to juxtapose these buildings in a way that makes the most sense for security and safety. So in the Sean point, there's almost 6 different front lot lines, so it would be almost impossible to determine which facade we'd have to use anyway. So I'm happy to answer any questions, as I said, but I think it's pretty clear that this is really an internal configuration. We're just trying to, the way the campus is laid out, it presents a problem for us from safety and security concerns. We'd like to move that building 90 degrees on an axis.
Okay, you guys got any questions? No? Nope. No? All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. See none. Any on Zoom? See none. Is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition?
Good afternoon, board members. Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street. First, I want to make amends with the Area Plan Commission. I spoke at the Board of Commissioners yesterday, and I said the first thing I would do were Amazon would be to find new planners. The planners I was speaking of were the people that Amazon hired to draw up the site plan and situate these buildings on the property correctly in the first place. To situate them, the buildings weren't even situated yet. They cleared the property, as this gentleman who spoke for Amazon here indicated. 6 months earlier, GM had the same issue, had to do away with screening requirements. They couldn't honor screening requirements because we have loading docks to the south, so we can't put in the trees down there because we're going to have parking in that area. Same situation here, except these guys knew about it. They hadn't even broken ground yet. Yet we're going to put the buildings on there, and then, oh, guess what? We figured out there's problems with safety considerations once the trucks get on the property. So as I understand it, the facade of the building then facing Edison is not the quaint country design. It's I don't know whether it be cinder blocks or whatever. It is something that doesn't blend in with the community. I just find it incredible that they seem to be going kind of like I do. I make my day goes kind of, each day is separate. I make decisions every day that have to be made every day. They supposedly have planned this thing, and then in the middle of it, knowing what happened with GM, they say, oh, guess what? Now we got to come for a variance. I look at that as they're taking advantage of things, and it's costing them nothing. All they're doing, oh, we have to file more paperwork to get them to agree to let us turn our building 90 degrees. So we can, because there's safety on the property that's an issue. Why wasn't that thought of before? And I feel like they're, sorry, I know we're out in the country. I feel like they're treating us like country hicks. Like, oh, we can run this by these hicks, don't worry about it. We'll get them to agree to anything. And I feel that they saw what GM did and felt, it's just that simple. You want to get them, just go to the area, go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and say, and they'll approve it. They'll say, yeah, go ahead and do what you want. And I think there's got to be some teeth in the, I know Abby said that wasn't a part of the overlay, but there's got to be some teeth in what we're doing here to say, guys, you just can't come in here and adjust your plans once you've broken ground. They've got concrete and metal in the ground out there now. So now we tell them, no, you can't do this. Likely not going to happen because they've already started construction. Now they want this variance. And after they've started construction, it doesn't make sense to me. Again, I'm against this. Now, I would be up for some amends. Were they to, as part of the development agreement or on a side agreement with a committee from the town, come up with a community enhancement fund donation yearly to the town, looking at the size of Amazon. I'm guessing in the millions of dollars that Craig Langhofer from Edward Jones and Associates could administer. There's just no penalty for them here. They just come in, we want to do this now. Oh, here, file this paperwork, go ahead, turn your building. We don't care. It just bugs me that decisions seem to be made at high levels, not like at my house, but this is big business. It just crossed the $2 trillion threshold on the stock market. You've got to think farther down the road than me looking at what I'm going to do, what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow. Thank you.
Hey, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Got a question. You know more about this than I do. What is a data center? That needs 12 semi-docks.
Honestly,
what the hell is
honestly,
in
I don't understand it either. They're a data center.
Okay.
Yeah, he can explain. I'm sure he can explain it. To me, a data center doesn't have anything loading into it except signals, wires and signals, and somebody coming to shovel the snow and cut the grass.
Yeah.
That's all it is to me. But I guess they need loading docks to maybe get the equipment into the building, but then what do you use them for after you've got the equipment in the building?
Right.
I don't know. Good question to ask him, Sid. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll let you ask him. All right, is there anybody else that would like to speak against this petition? Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none, public portion is now closed. Steve, you got 5 minutes for a rebuttal.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So with all due respect to Mr. Caruso, we cannot self-effectuate variances. So the zoning ordinances require us to do one thing. And that zoning ordinance, as it stands, without the variance, would require us to put the loading dock in a different orientation that would present some safety and security concerns. It's precisely why we have a variance process, so we can come to it. It would be nice if we could decide on our own how we want to plan out sites, but the zoning ordinances require us to come for a variance if we're not going to follow the ordinance to the letter. So we're doing precisely what Mr. Caruso wanted to do. We didn't have the ability to turn this building without the approval of this board. So that's why we come here, and I'm sure the staff can support this argument with that. We can't just do what we want to do. We have to follow the zoning ordinances. If we cannot follow them and we meet the criteria for variance, then that's to this board's decision. In terms of what is a data center and why we need so many trucks, these buildings are huge. The buildings that are going to be supported by this are 216,000 square feet each. There's thousands of pieces that come in every day on trucks, box trucks, semi trucks, whatever. and go in and out all the time. But candidly, it's irrelevant. What we're concerned here is with the land use. And the land use says that if we put it where the ordinance requires us to do that, that will create a conflict with safety and security. We're asking for a variance because, again, we think we met the criteria, but it really basically lets us reorient the building the way we would like to do it. And we agree with the comment made by one of the board members that is an industrial area. This is something the staff should probably have the authority to do. They don't under their current ordinance. That's why GM had to come. That's why we have to come. We're following the letter of the ordinance, and when we cannot meet that letter, that's why we come to this board for a variance. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, sir. All right. You guys got any questions?
I guess I have one additional question. So based on this picture I have of the yellow campus building, what orientation would have to be to meet the ordinance? Would this building and these loading docks have to flip-flop? What would they have to do to meet the ordinance?
Toward 1 degree.
It would have to flip 90 degrees, I believe, to the west so that the truck traffic would come on the west side of the building and would interfere with the campus security building, and you'd have to go through security to get to the loading dock, and then your trucks would have a difficult time turning around. So as we pointed out, that by reorienting this building with the 220 feet between Edison Roads and ourselves, plus landscape and screening, it doesn't present an issue either under 1, 2, or 3. But it's the practical difficulty that's created by the width of the lot and orienting these 3 buildings in a way that protects the safety and security of pedestrians and visitors and others.
I don't even know if that would technically do it, because the south property line there is still a front. I mean, it would be thousands of feet away, but technically it still wouldn't be meeting the ordinance, and a variance would be required.
And also, just as a matter of clarification, since the question was raised, what has been permitted or received building permits are the other buildings. This specifically has not been included, was not included in the first permit package. So it's not like it's been under construction and they're going for the variance. Everything, the other buildings are permitted. This one can't be until the variance is granted.
Got it. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, wouldn't 1 degree off be the same as not front?
No.
It'd have to be 90 degrees off, I think.
Well, even 90, it'd be facing.
Well, he's a surveyor.
Right,
That's
that's
Terry.
Yeah.
Well, no, no matter how you turn it.
You're always against the front.
Yeah.
You're always gonna see it.
And based off the way the lot is, it seems like anyway they would have oriented the building, it would have that implication if they're trying to keep the truck docks away from the secured access, like.
And you can't put a 6-foot fence up because it's road front without getting the variance.
Okay. Anything else? Or I'll take a motion.
Adam Devon, I make a motion for approval of the variance.
Donnie Ritzma, second.
Just one comment on this one. I would recommend that you do it subject to the conditions in the staff report so that it's specifically subject to the site plan that they've submitted, because otherwise you would be permitting them to put it up against any front lot line, and they have 6 of them. So you want to be specific here that it's where they're suggesting they want to put it. That's okay.
Modify my motion. I make a motion to approve the variance subject to the conditions imposed by the staff.
Yes, because all that does is say, you have to do it within 6 months, and it's as it was presented in the staff report, so you're giving them the variance for that place next to Elderberry Road. So did the person who seconded the motion approve that amendment to the motion?
Second.
Okay.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Byers?
Yes?
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Velman?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance, subject to the conditions in the staff report, and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much,
guys,
appreciate it.
Number 2, right?
Yes.
Here you go, Tom. Thank you. Do I have to recuse myself again?
You've already announced that you have to recuse on this one. I won't make you do it a second time.
Is the petitioner still available on Zoom?
For Fairview Drive.
For Fairview Drive, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, very good.
I'm here.
Do we need a motion to bring it off the table, or can we just proceed?
You just moved it to the end of the agenda essentially, so it's
Gotcha.
up.
Okay. We did the staff report earlier. Do we need to go through it again? Should we?
If you'd like it again, I can. If not, my report has not changed since the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to rehear it.
Well, why don't you just kind of recap it?
Yeah, so.
Nice. The abridged version.
Yep, the petitioner's looking to build a garage and a home addition there on the west side of their house. The garage will basically cover the driveway, should, give them an opportunity to enclose the cars that they've been storing outside. The garage will come 3 feet of that western property line. You can see that here. The home addition will come 6 feet. If you take a look around the surrounding community, lot sizes that are smaller than what are typically allowed in both width and size in St. Joseph County are common here. A lot of legal nonconforming setbacks closer than that 8-foot requirement exist. So when we look at our state law criteria, staff finds that it won't be injurious to the general welfare, again, because they'll be able to store cars that would otherwise be outside. The use and value will remain unaffected, again, because these size lots are common, and sort of encroachments into that side yard is, again, pretty common here. And then finally, staff does find there to be practical difficulty. The lot is only 80 feet wide, given that the house is kind of sort of on center, looking at the setbacks and then the lot width. They're only allowed 14 feet of buildable area. Otherwise, they would be permitted to build this size attached garage. And if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Board have any questions for staff?
Yeah, how are they gonna get all 4 cars in that garage?
We don't plan on getting all 4 cars in the
Yeah.
garage, but we would like to put a garage there so that my husband, who's a mechanic, and my
What-
son, who
excuse
is a
me.
mechanic, can work on their
Mrs.
cars.
Dye,
Yes.
would you please identify yourself and your address for the record?
Sure. My name is Jolene Dye, and I live at 10521 Fairview Avenue, Osceola, Indiana, 46561.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt you now.
That's okay.
Why don't you go ahead?
My husband is a mechanic and my son is a mechanic. And right now we have to go to relatives to work on vehicles because there's no place for tool storage. And so it makes it inconvenient to have to take a car that's already broken down onto a trailer and then onto somebody else's property to fix it. My husband would also like to put a lift into the garage so that we can lift a vehicle up to be able to work under it. So, and then also I bring home the groceries. And so it'd be nice to be able to back into the garage and unload the groceries through the sunroom and into the house when it's like bad elements outside. So that's the main reasons we're trying to get the addition put onto the house. And it would increase the property value as well. And I think it would make the neighborhood look better to have, it would make the neighborhood look better, and it also would be good for resale if we ever decided to sell the house. People are generally looking for at least a 2-car garage attached to a home. The home has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, so it's probably customary for a house to have a 2-car garage of that size.
So you're currently repairing vehicles on the site, and that's the purpose of this building?
Well, we're only for our own vehicles. My husband, if he has to work on a vehicle, he has to put it up on jack stands, which can be dangerous, and then work on it with a creeper underneath the vehicle.
For your own vehicles, not outside vehicles?
No, we're not looking to run a business out of the garage.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Is that all, Mrs. Dye?
Yes, that's all I can think of at the moment.
Okay. Any other questions to the board for the petitioner? Anyone in the audience to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak against the petition? Anyone on Zoom wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and we can move on with questions or comments or a motion.
Looking at the aerial of the neighborhood surrounding, I mean, it's pretty apparent a lot of the property lines or the buildings are darn near right on the property lines, so I don't see that being inconsistent with the neighborhood, so I don't see an issue with the setbacks.
I think Carl's favorite word fits here, analogous. Analogous.
Analogous, yeah. I don't see how that fits here, but.
I still haven't got a definition of agritourism, so.
Look, I have an issue with that.
Is that a motion, Adam?
I can make a motion, I was just making a comment unless anybody else had any other issues with it.
I think it's turning into a motion.
All right, Adam Devon, I make a motion for approval of the variance. Is there any conditions subject to the conditions from staff?
Joe Velleman, I second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. You want to call the roll?
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Velman?
Yes.
Mr. Byers?
Yes.
Mr. Devon?
Yes.
And who am I missing?
Based on the testimony presented
Mr.
here.
Ritzma.
Yes. Monster place.
Based on the testimony presented here today, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, after careful consideration, find this variance it is granted and will issue written findings of fact. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Dye.
Have a wonderful day.
Can I ask a question just of other business, being we're at the end of the agenda? And it's just for my benefit on these types of cutting out the farm buildings, would it be more advantageous just to submit my lot itself and have the written commitments on the balance of the property instead of creating an outlot? Because that doubles the cost for the survey work for splitting that off. If we're gonna double do it, let's just eliminate the outlot altogether and put the written commitment on it and be done with it.
Yeah, in this case, that would work.
Okay.
Only in the case where the remainder is gonna create more.
Okay, I just want, because it doubles
All
that
right.
cost
Yeah,
by having to survey that entire 60 acres instead of just the 2 acres in the middle of the field.
Right.
Okay.
I think you do have a valid point. We'll discuss internally and get back
Thank
to
you.
you next week.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
It's just something I'm just trying to look cost-effective to people that, when they're splitting off the houses.
Yeah.
Terry, when we had signed that commitment to one of Mike Danch's petitions, he was like, wait, this is new. What are you doing? So we understand, but I think you understand the rationale.
I understand the rationale,
Yeah.
but I just need to know so that I can tell the people, when I speak to them from the very beginning, that this requirement is going to be a binding legal document, that you won't be able to do this in the future without coming to the board here again. So I appreciate
Yeah.
the,
Thanks for bringing that to our
Okay.
attention. We'll talk about it and follow up.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I got 2 of them, and I never signed a single
We
paper
kind of did other business down here.
saying there's a binding legal document.
Other business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wouldn't say anything, but
No, but it's still gonna come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on other business now. DJ, I don't know if you want to do your other business or if you want to do findings of fact, minutes, and then your thing.
Yeah, let's do let's get this stuff out of here and then, all right, findings of facts. You guys find any issues or I'll take a motion?
I defer to Donnie.
No, that's what I said.
Joe Velleman, I make a motion, we approve the finding of facts for the May 16th, 2024 meeting.
I will second. The only thing I mentioned to Shelley beforehand was in the actual agenda, the date for the finding of the fact for this particular time still says May 16th. It didn't
Yeah,
say.
it's actually the June findings of fact that you're approving.
Yeah, June 12th.
The agenda was wrong.
Oh, it says
The
on the
agenda had the
agenda?
date wrong.
On this case, it doesn't matter if it was incorrectly placed on the, it won't stop you from approving them.
Whatever I read, I approve.
All right. Joe and Donnie, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Minutes.
I actually caught a typo on this one. There was a typo on the first page. One of the things, it was one of my quotes has an extra C in there that wasn't supposed to be there.
Oh, Shelley.
Nominations.
Yes, nominations for board president.
Nominations. Oh, how did I
And it
miss
wasn't
that?
Shelley. She's got other people in the office helping her, so this one wasn't her.
It was everyone.
Donnie.
This was a group effort.
I know, how did I miss this?
Like, would you do your job?
Did I do my job? I guess not.
No, Donnie. Donnie, he needs to pay attention.
Hey, Dan said I was an incompetent
Oh, it was
planner. so-
Carl?
Yeah.
You did these?
Well, I reviewed them.
Man.
I thought you said that it was
I
mine.
emailed you.
I see where the incompetence
Donnie.
comes
In the
from.
minutes,
Oh,
do you
well, now
remember the
she said it
two
was hers.
corrections I noted to you?
Carl, that's not even a word.
You had the date for the,
It's not even a word.
date on the agenda.
And then I sent a separate email with two
that
other
is all
minor
about it now.
corrections for the minutes.
Whatever
Hey,
I didn't see those
nomenclature.
before the meeting, sorry. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Okay, so I noted two edits in the minutes. There were, trying to flip through to find the correct one, but it was the petition item where Drew Roush was the petitioner. It's a very minor thing. His last name was spelled incorrectly on one of the pages.
On page 120.
Thank you.
It's not minor to you.
There's 120 pages in here?
Not 120 pages of the minutes, but 120 pages.
In the packet.
In the packet.
In the packet, page 120. Drew Roush's last name is spelled incorrectly.
Found it.
Page 18.
18 of the minutes, but 120 of the packet.
Oh, yeah, with a C.
Was that it, Donnie?
No, there was one more, so,
Page 142, under the approval of findings of fact, that states unanimously carried 5-0, but it should be 6-0.
Page 40.
and then that was it.
Wow, should be 6-0.
That's like some Rain Man level stuff, dude.
So, I did do my job.
It's cool. You did it 66% of the time. You missed one.
And countless other failing grade.
Thank you, Donnie, for reading the minutes
Abby.
closely.
Oh, yeah.
Donnie, we appreciate all your work.
Hey, man, I
good for
appreciate
something.
you more than you know.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended by Donnie Ritzma's proofreading of the January,
And Brandy.
And Brandy.
and Brandy's proofreading of the, let me get the right date on this so I don't screw that up.
January 10th.
Oh, January 10th, 2024 meeting,
As amended, right?
as amended.
Okay.
Tom Byers, second.
Motion and a second. Joe and Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor, all opposed. Holy cow.
Any opposed?
All right.
Stroke time.
Right.
All right, listen, new business that I would like to go over. No, hold on. This is gonna benefit us. At one, then you should have had to recuse yourself from a petition then. I would like to, how do you want me to say this? Just how I want it? I would like to move from the public comment from 5 minutes to 3 minutes.
And you also mentioned about adding a bit about not being repetitive.
And I would like to put some stronger wording in there for repetitive comments.
Is this a motion or a discussion?
At
This
this
is-
point, it's discussion, and I
discussion.
would just, if you guys would like, I can bring the actual language for adoption to the next meeting.
Bylaw
But
change? Is
it's
that-
a bylaw change, yeah.
I was gonna ask after the meeting if it's inappropriate or a mechanism for DJ to be like, look, this doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about here.
He can always do that.
Yeah,
There-
it's
there
within
is,
the inherent power of the chair to kind of control that.
I would argue maybe that needs to start being asserted. Because stopping short of talking about the weather, I'm like, I'm out of texts to check and emails to read, so.
But then can we do
Yes,
it?
but there's,
Do it be a
it doesn't get into the weeds here like it does in APC. APC gets way into the weeds. Some of our people
Worse
here.
than that?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I had to
true.
stop several people at our last meeting.
They get way
Oh.
far afield in area plan.
So
This
it's
is not,
It doesn't get as into the weeds here as,
And we give them 5 minutes as well, too. But
Yeah.
council has 3 minutes.
I believe council's 3 minutes, and this board, when I first started working for it, also had 3 minutes. It was, in the bylaws that were in effect when I started working for BZA had 3 minutes. And so when I reconfigured the bylaws, we kept them at 3 minutes. And then I believe about 6 or 8 months later, I think was roughly when South Bend left, we got some new people on the board. One of them, I think it was when, Joe, I think you were the one who initially brought up that you'd like them to have more time than 3 minutes. And then the board eventually decided that, yes, they agreed. They would like them to have the 5 minutes the area plan gets.
I'll make the argument. That gentleman that came up to remonstrate or talk in favor of that, he was nervous as hell.
Right.
My opinion is,
Give him the time.
this is maybe the only interaction that a citizen has as a government interaction. Give them the opportunity to do what they want to do. I do believe we should cut them off if they're getting excessive or repetitive or anything like that. But, if this is the only opportunity they have to interact with the government agency, as approaching as we all are, I would think that we'd want to give them the amount of time rather than arbitrarily cut them off at 3 minutes. Because they're already probably wasting a minute to some of the time to get their thoughts together, let alone take the less time with that. That was the reason I always chose 5 minutes. Actually, when I was on the old board 15 years ago, I don't think there was a time limit, and that was really bad.
I imagine it would be, but that's way,
Oh, there
way
would've
older
been a
than
time
my
limit.
experience.
I can promise you that.
That's my only thing is that these are. Good argument. These are reasonable citizens that have they feel that they have a skin in the game on why they're here, so let's give them the time to be able to state their case.
When did you get so soft?
Is your reasoning for 3 minutes so that when they are off in the weeds, at least it's only 3 minutes?
Again, we don't have a ton of people here that get off into the weeds. We have one or two when there's, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to foresee our future now with this special use with
He's not wrong, that you will probably see more contentious things that people will want to come talk about.
we have at least 3 special uses coming to us here soon, right? Well,
Eventually you'll have
Unclear.
some.
yeah, okay, well, and it's going to get to the point of where we have people that are just gonna continue to go and go and go and go and go.
And on occasion, we do once in a while get petitions that people want to come, and there's lots of people who want to talk. It's not frequent, but it has happened.
Concrete plant.
And it tends to be those that the people tend to start rambling
Right.
during.
3 minutes gives people, as long as it's posted and notified, and I make it very known up front, which I plan on doing. 3 minutes gives them the opportunity to get to the point and say their thoughts and be done.
And the other comment to that would be, if you felt they needed another 30 seconds, you could kind of look the other way and let them finish.
No, I'm gonna stick to 3 minutes.
Okay. And I'll say leave it at 5.
I will say one thing about the area plan versus here is the actual time that the petitioners have is quite different at area plan versus here. It could make some sense for the commenting time to also be different, is all I'm saying.
What is it?
At area plan, petitioners actually have 30 minutes to present their petition
And 10 minutes for rebuttal.
and 10 minutes for rebuttal.
Wow.
But
Because
very-
those petitions tend to be more, encompassing, they have a lot more things to talk about, they have more criteria to discuss, and so the people need more time to explain those things, and so the idea would be that the commenters might need more time to also talk about all of
the
those
same thing
things.
where they have staff advising them before the petitioner
They
comes
do,
up as well
yes.
too? Okay, well then, all right.
And honestly, the rebuttal, I think, is relevant because we can ask them questions and they can answer. That's outside of the time commitment. So I think the rebuttal time frame is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, normally, when I'm keeping time here and
Right.
there for rebuttal, I only keep the time for the time that they're just speaking extemporaneously.
Right.
When you guys start asking them questions, I
Right.
stop timing.
Right.
And I'm just throwing this out for discussion, doesn't mean I'm in love with this, but When you look at a special use, we know we're forwarding that recommendation on to another body. To me, 3 minutes makes sense. When you look at a variance where we are the deciding body, should we give a little more leniency? But then,
But council only gets 3 minutes as well, too.
pardon me?
Council only gives 3 minutes as well, too.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
trying to do
okay.
anything different than the county council.
Okay.
And I don't know if this helps, but Adam, my intention was to bring consistency to the boards, to have, if
Agreed.
we go 3 minutes here, to propose 3 minutes for area plan, for
It-
petitioner
It
comment.
was coming up next week, trust
Okay.
me.
And I mean, seeing it from the plan commission side, I get on the bigger projects, but yes, when you get the one or two, huge projects or big, controversial things, 5 minutes gives people time to wander a little bit. I usually try and allow those people to wander to get to a point, but at some point, they gotta get to a point, and they don't, and they just keep wandering, so that's when I say, all right, let's get to a point. But I think 3 minutes is gonna be short enough that they have to. They don't have time to ramble,
Yeah, just to,
Oh, yeah,
to
it's
make
far,
the
yeah.
point too, like, sometimes you guys run great meetings and you do your best to cut people off, but
People like to talk.
they wanna keep talking and they say, well, I'm within my time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much we want to cut them off and tell them that anything that or what they're talking about right now at this particular moment doesn't have anything to do with what they're going, I mean, technically, they have 5 minutes that they can talk about whether the sky is blue or not. I mean, it's their
Yeah, but
choice.
Brandy said you're not out of line by stopping them if they're talking about the weather.
It doesn't matter. I can't tell them to sit down.
Yeah,
Yes, you
can.
can.
Oh, I can?
Yes.
And that's
Cut
what
'em
I
off
was gonna
last
say, just maybe before that section, before the public portion, make a statement that, we appreciate that you people are here, but if it's just one thing after the other, or it's not pertinent to the particular variance,
And if you want that
We're
more
gonna say so.
specified, like, if you guys like the idea of adding to your rules, aside from the time thing, a provision that says you don't want them to be repetitive, if you would prefer to have further backing for that power, we can make that provision say, don't repeat comments and keep them on topic. And
Does that
then
bother you?
would you feel better about,
Does it bother me to tell somebody to stop talking? No.
because it don't bother me, I'll do it.
I was gonna say, have we met?
I like the fact of being consistent within
Yes.
each body of.
Yes.
I still would like 3 minutes. It gives them plenty of time. I've stood there, I've done it.
Right.
It gives them plenty of time, and
and on the subject of special uses versus variances, for the most part, most people don't have much to say about variances in comparison to special uses. 3 minutes, very few people actually get to 3 minutes, let alone 5.
the only person that went past 1 minute and 47 seconds today was Dan.
Yeah, but he knows how to time it.
I know, well, he has it written out. He knows. He rehearses in the mirror.
Thing always gets me.
So were you arguing that we're doing a different
I like Dan.
timeframe for special uses? Is that what I was
I
hearing?
mean, you
No,
guys
no,
have
no.
been
I
doing
would
it
like to go to
for
3 minutes
For everything.
across the board.
change,
Okay.
but yes,
But it's a bylaw.
you
change.
can.
It is a bylaw change, and it's gotta go to
I would be for
ABZ.
it.
and-
Okay.
So you're for it, I'm for it.
Not a
This is
problem.
not a vote, but it's just, is this something that we wanna change?
Yeah, we wouldn't be voting on it officially until we get to the other business at the next meeting, when I have an actual text for you.
So
So I just
are
need to
we
know whether you
asking
want me to bring
everybody,
it
or
to
is
you.
this just a,
Yeah, this is me trying to find out, do you want me to bring you that
Yes.
amendment to vote on?
yes,
Yeah.
So
Yes.
5 minutes, and do you want me to,
3 minutes?
3 minutes, yes, 3 minutes instead of 5. And do you also want a specific provision that says, don't be repetitive?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
So, but while we're on topic though, your presentation's like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
If you're gonna be getting special uses, does that need to change? Do
No.
we-
Thus far, we haven't really had anybody who's acted like they've needed more than that.
Just asking.
Because, and the people that, I can tell you, we've had maybe one time in my memory where that wasn't
Just the
enough.
public hearing
And they
portion.
just used their rebuttal time to finish what they were saying.
Yeah.
Like from South Bend.
I remember that happening, and I think it was an administrative appeal.
If you're gonna put in
Right.
the off,
But back then,
Topic.
when that happened,
Is that
was
what it
there
was?
more
repetitive.
Then should you
I
try
don't
to
think
word
so.
off topic?
I mean,
or should
there
we
might have
stay
been
away from
more
both of them and let him handle it?
complex
I say stay with both of them. Just leave
rezoning.
it as
Because
potential.
now you're getting a little.
Like
That was what
projects,
I,
like
do you want
PUDs,
that in your
big,
minutes
like-
or in your
yeah.
bylaws or?
Yeah.
I think
If I'd
just
have
change.
known it bothered you this much, I'd say something more, but it
dinosaur.
doesn't, we don't get out, we don't get into the weeds here like,
Now we are.
can you just bring it? Just bring it,
Okay.
please.
What,
you.
what's council get for presentation? Just curious.
They get
Council?
5 minutes
For presentation?
for presentation, isn't it?
I don't know if it's specified.
For the
Let me look.
petitioner for
Per
rezoning.
petitioner.
But like using,
I mean,
using,
it's difficult because most of the petitioners before council are department heads asking for like salary amendments. And we're technically not the petitioner, but staff does the presentation like we do for, you guys for a special use or a rezone.
I mean, our time's not limited.
No.
But I've never seen a rezoning petitioner get cut off at council. I don't know.
I guess I'm just asking, do we want to make it consistent at all three levels? Presentation.
What are you doing here?
I would say you need
asking
a
questions.
time limit
What are
on
you doing?
presentations
You
for
brought it
what you
up.
guys
Listen.
do.
You brought it up.
I would like to replace Adam Devon.
I second.
Let's keep it 10 and 30.
Yes.
10 here, 30 for area plan. But I think public comment wise, 3 minutes for both.
All right, did you have anything, Abby?
No, just that we anticipate being able to put 2 sets of minutes in front of you at the next meeting, at least. As we're getting caught up, right, Shelley?
They're gonna be perfect, as long as Donnie sees them first.
Just since Adam asked, I don't see any time limits for like presentations in the county council's minutes. That doesn't mean that the
I've never
council
seen that
president
be an
would
issue. I
cut
was just
somebody off
curious.
if they
Yeah,
went
I
on
don't-
for
I don't
too
know.
long. I don't know, they might. But I would say at area plan and BZA, the things that you guys
I
hear
honestly,
and
I've
how
never
they
timed
work,
it, So I just,
you need time limits.
Sure.
Most of the time, it doesn't matter, but there's times when it does, and you need to have it for those.
10 minutes and 3 minutes, we're fine. 5-minute rebuttal.
Yes.
Yep, okay. All right,
Make a motion to adjourn.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Who did first, who did second?
Donnie first.
it.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Well, she asked a question, so I'm just clarifying.